You went to the grocery store for protein. Clean, simple, reliable protein. You came home with something the label never fully explained. And here's the thing, the gap between what you assumed you bought and what actually went into that package is wider than most people realize. Not because anyone broke a law, but because the rules were written in a way that makes the gap almost invisible from the front of the package. This video covers 7 brands and the specific evidence behind each one, then 4 that actually held up when we looked past the packaging. Eliantly change how you read a label in the poultry aisle. Air-chilled, water-chilled, woody breast, saline injection. Once you know what those mean, you can't unsee them. Let's start with the brands worth thinking twice about, beginning with the most common one in the cart, number 7, the store brand. Great value. Kroger. Whatever name your grocery chain puts on the bag, this is the one most families grab without much deliberation. The price makes sense. Chicken is chicken. That logic is completely reasonable, and it's exactly what the pricing is designed to encourage. But store brand chicken is built around one number, the lowest viable cost per pound on the shelf. To hit that number consistently, the supply chain depends on the fastest growing, highest yield industrial breeds available. These birds are not selected for flavor, texture, or nutrition. They're selected for one thing: maximum weight in minimum time. And those breeds carry a defect that millions of shoppers encounter every single week at the cutting board without realizing what they're looking at. It's called white striping. Take a breast fillet out of the pack and hold it under decent light. Those pale lines running lengthwise through the muscle are not marbling. Independent peer-reviewed research published in Pilo S1 found at least mild white striping in over 95% of commercial breast fillettes studied. Severe woody breast, that dense, rubbery texture that doesn't soften no matter how carefully you cook it, appeared in nearly 12% of samples. What that looks like in practice: you season the breast, you cook it right, you cut into it, and it pushes back like a sponge. Pale, odorless, strangely resistant. You assume you made an error somewhere. You didn't. That condition was built into the bird at the farm 6 weeks into a life that a naturally grown chicken would have spent 4 months developing. Lab research also linked white striping to up to 224% higher fat content in affected fillets. So the lean protein on the nutrition label doesn't always reflect what's actually inside the package. One more thing the bag won't tell you: suppliers rotate. The store brand you buy this month may come from a completely different processing facility than the one from 3 months ago. Same logo, same price, potentially a different bird with a different processing history. You're paying for consistency the label was never required to guarantee. Number 6, Tyson Standard. This is the default choice for a huge number of households. The name has been in American kitchens for decades. It reads as familiar, stable, safe. That's not an accident. It's the result of sustained brand investment, and it does real work at the shelf. Here's what happens to a Tyson bird at the processing plant. After slaughter, it goes into a communal chiller tank, a large shared pool of water treated with chlorine at concentrations the USDA permits up to 50 parts per million. That chlorine isn't there to clean each bird individually. It's there to slow the bacterial cross-contamination happening between hundreds of carcasses sitting in the same water at the same time. By the time the bird is pulled, packaged, and shipped, it has absorbed roughly 8% of its total final weight in that water. Water you then pay for at chicken prices by the pound. Think about what that absorbed water does in your oven. You dry the bird, season it, put it in at high heat. You want golden crackling skin. Instead, the chiller water the bird has been holding since the processing plant begins working its way out through the meat under heat. The skin steams from the inside before it ever has a chance to dry out. 2 hours later, you're cutting into something pale and slightly soft, sitting in a gray liquid that has nothing to do with your cooking. Here's the part the packaging will never mention. The European Union banned this specific processing method for human consumption in 1997. What American shoppers are legally buying at full retail price today is a product European food safety regulators classified as unfit for sale over 25 years ago. That's not a technicality. That's a meaningful difference in what 2 regulatory systems decided was acceptable to sell. Tyson is also named as a primary defendant in ongoing federal poultry price-fixing lawsuits. Contract growers in the Tyson system are paid by the pound, a structure that creates a direct financial incentive to push every bird to maximum weight as fast as biologically possible. You're paying a brand premium. The processing method is one Europe rejected decades ago. Purdue Standard. This is the considered choice. $1 or $2 more per pound. The front of the bag says no antibiotics ever in clear, confident lettering. It communicates that you did your research. It's designed to. The standard Purdue line still moves through the exact same communal water chiller as Tyson. Same shared tank, same chlorinated bath, same absorbed water weight, the same processing step the EU prohibited in 1997. A premium was paid for one genuine improvement at the farm. Nothing changed at the plant. This is the most effective misdirection in the refrigerated aisle. One bold claim on the front of the package. Eyes go there first and often stop there. The bird inside that premium label went through the same wet industrial steps as the cheapest option 2 feet away on the same shelf. That's not what most shoppers think they're paying for. There's more context the front doesn't volunteer. Standard Purdue operations raise birds with as little as 0.8 square feet of space per chicken. Stress in high-density flocks directly correlates with elevated bacterial contamination on the meat leaving those facilities. Purdue has also settled a federal class action lawsuit over claims connected to their humanely raised labeling packaging, designed to suggest the whole story matches that standard. The antibiotics claim holds up. The processing story doesn't. If you're finding this useful so far, a like helps this kind of research reach more people. Number 4. Foster Farms. This is the regional brand, the one that doesn't feel like a faceless national corporation, because it was never positioned as one. West Coast shelves, talking chicken commercials, California familiarity built into the packaging for decades. It reads like something different from the industrial giants. That's exactly what the branding is designed to communicate. Here's what the documented record shows. The 2025 Farm Forward report, drawing on 5 years of monthly USDA inspection data, named Foster Farms among the brands whose plants routinely exceeded federal salmonella contamination thresholds. That finding doesn't stand alone. It sits on top of a regulatory history that food safety researchers have been tracking for over a decade. One outbreak linked to Foster Farms sickened more than 600 people across 29 states. The detail that elevated that outbreak beyond a standard food safety event was this. The strain connected to the 2013 Foster Farms outbreak was specifically resistant to multiple commonly prescribed antibiotics. When people got sick and went to their doctor, the first-line treatment didn't work as expected. The infection was serious. The treatment was additionally compromised by resistance that traced back through the industrial supply chain. That's a different kind of food safety problem than most people think about when they're standing in the grocery aisle. During that outbreak, Foster Farms didn't initiate a recall. Costco independently pulled the product from their shelves first. The brand responded after a retailer acted freight. In 2022, Foster Farms was acquired by private equity. The family reputation embedded in the branding is no longer what drives operational decisions. Investor returns are the regional warmth on the label is real. The company behind it has structurally changed. The comfort the packaging communicates is doing a lot of work for a brand with that kind of documented history sitting behind it. Number 3. Pilgrim's Pride. Most people who eat Pilgrim's Pride have never selected it off a shelf. They consume it regularly without that choice ever being available to them. That's not a coincidence. It's the operating model. Pilgrim's is one of the largest chicken processors in the country. Their business isn't built around the retail shopper on a Sunday afternoon. It's built on volume supply contracts with buyers purchasing at a scale where individual package presentation is irrelevant. Fast food chains, frozen meal producers, school district food service, hospital cafeterias, the chicken strip in the kids' meal, the nuggets on the school lunch tray, the protein inside the frozen dinner that says nothing about where the chicken came from. A significant portion of all of that moves through a small group of mega processors. Pilgrim's is consistently near the top of that list. When the primary customer is buying chicken by the truckload for a sub-$2 menu item, the processing operation is engineered backward from that price point. Fast grow breeds maximized for yield, water chilling as the default. Line speeds that have increased steadily for 20 years. OSHA has cited Pilgrim's plants repeatedly for sanitation violations. The conditions federal regulators flagged as problematic are the same conditions the chicken moved through before it was frozen and shipped to your child's school. In 2020, Pilgrim's Pride pleaded guilty to federal price-fixing charges and paid a criminal fine of $17.9 million. The company is majority owned by JBS, a Brazilian conglomerate that carries its own documented history of bribery settlements. This isn't a brand most people are actively choosing. It's a processing infrastructure that most people are already inside of through products that carry no indication of where the protein actually came from. Number 2. Costco and Kroger rotisserie chickens. This one surprises more people than almost anything else on this list, because the rotisserie bird is positioned as the opposite of processed food. Whole chicken already cooked, nothing hidden. You can see the entire product before you buy it. That presentation is the foundation of the appeal. Pick up the container and turn it around. Read the full ingredient list on a product that presents itself as a whole roasted chicken. That list on most major retail rotisserie birds includes water, salt, sodium phosphate, modified food starch, and in some formulations, Caragen. That injected solution represents as much as 10 to 15% of the bird's total weight. It's precisely why the chicken stays moist and tender under a heat lamp for 6 straight hours. A bird roasted at home under the same conditions would be dry in under an hour. The rotisserie bird maintains that texture because it isn't the same product as a bird you roast in your own oven. It's a sodium and phosphate injected product being held at temperature under a lamp. And that's just not what most people picture when they pick it up. The packaging layout isn't accidental. Large clear type on the lid, whole chicken ingredient list on the side panel in noticeably smaller print. Consumer attention goes to the front. The injection is disclosed, but it's placed where most shoppers don't look. A single rotisserie bird from a major retailer can contain over 1,800 milligrams of sodium. That's more than 75% of the daily intake associated with heart health in one meal. Sodium phosphate consumed consistently over time has been linked in studies to kidney strain, and birds that don't sell by end of day are frequently stripped, repackaged, and returned to the case the following morning as prepared rotisserie chicken meat rather than being pulled from sale. The processed food aisle wasn't skipped. It was visited at a different counter in a whole bird format with the processing disclosed on a panel. Most people never read. Number 1. Wayne Sanderson Farms. Most shoppers who recognize the Sanderson Farms name don't know that company no longer exists as an independent operation. Sanderson Farms merged with Wayne Farms to create Wayne Sanderson Farms, now one of the largest chicken producers in the United States. The brand identity people associate with a straightforward traditional American poultry company is now the consumer-facing label on a significantly larger industrial operation. That transition received limited coverage relative to its scale. What makes this number 1 isn't just what the company does, it's how publicly and aggressively they defended doing it. Before the merger, Sanderson Farms didn't simply decline to pursue industry reform. They ran advertising campaigns specifically mocking antibiotic-free certification as unnecessary and misleading. While Tyson, Purdue, and most major competitors were at minimum adjusting their public messaging, and in many cases, partially updating their practices, Sanderson Farms was producing ads making the case that routine antibiotic use was the rational, responsible approach to raising chickens at scale. They weren't quiet about it. They were the loudest voice defending the old model, while the rest of the industry was gradually moving away from it. The merger changed the name. It didn't restructure the processing operation. Standard water chilling, standard high-density confinement, grow houses, routine antibiotic use continuing under the new combined entity. Here's why that last point matters beyond the label. Routine antibiotic use at the farm level creates selection pressure for antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Those bacteria don't stay at the farm. They move through processing and travel on the meat into your kitchen. If resistant bacteria reach your body through food handling or consumption, the concern isn't just a food safety incident in isolation. Research has shown it may affect how the body responds to antibiotic treatment for unrelated infections later. The antibiotic a doctor prescribes for a common illness may work less effectively, not because of overuse in a clinical setting, but because of routine prophylactic use inside a large-scale poultry operation you'll never visit or see. Wayne Farms paid a $73 million settlement in the same federal price-fixing case that also named Tyson and Pilgrim's Pride. The combined company now controls approximately 15% of the entire U.S. chicken market. The name changed, the scale increased, the practices didn't. Now that you know what to look out for, here are the options that actually held up. Before getting to the brands, 2 quick tests you can do right now with whatever is already in your refrigerator. The skin test. Pat the bird completely dry, put it in the oven skin side up at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. One goal, crisp skin. A water-chilled bird works against you from the moment the oven closes. The absorbed tank water starts escaping through the meat before the skin can dry. It steams. It stays pale. It comes out soft and slightly leathery no matter how long it roasts. An air-chilled bird dries quickly, colors fast, and the skin cracks when you press or cut through it. If your bird won't crisp at 425 degrees, that's not a technique problem. That's a processing problem. The label scan. 4 things to check on any package in your fridge right now. First, does the front say air chilled? If it doesn't, assume communal water chilling. Second, on a whole bird, is the only ingredient the word chicken, or does the list include saline, sodium phosphate, natural flavoring, or modified food starch? Any of those means an injection happened before the package sealed. Third, does it say free range without also saying pasture raised? Under current USDA rules, free range can be satisfied by a small exterior door on a standard confinement barn. The birds may never have used it. Free range and pasture raised are different regulatory definitions. They are not interchangeable. Fourth, can the brand show you actual footage of the farm where the bird was raised? Not an illustration, not a lifestyle photo. Verifiable footage of the real operation. If any of those 4 checks doesn't produce a clear answer, put the package back. Best option number 4, Smart Chicken Organic. Everything the communal water chiller represents, Smart Chicken's organic line eliminates at the processing level. Each bird is air-chilled individually. No shared tank, no chlorinated bath, no absorbed water weight. Each bird is suspended separately in cold circulating air until it reaches temperature. The cross-contamination pathway that defines water-chilled industrial processing can't exist here because the step that creates it was never part of this model. On top of that, USDA organic certification, audited feed standards, verified welfare standards, independent third-party review every year, no antibiotics ever across the complete grow-out. Roast one and the difference is immediate. The pan comes out nearly dry. The skin develops real amber color at high heat. The kitchen smells like a chicken is actually cooking. A genuine roasted aroma rather than the faint steamy smell that comes off a water-chilled bird in a hot oven. Smart Chicken was the first American brand to bring individual European-style air chilling into the mainstream U.S. market based in Nebraska, not folded into a multinational. The processing commitment and the farm-level commitment come in the same package. Best option number 3, Mary's Free Range. Everything the high-density confinement model produces Mary's is structured around its opposite. These birds are genuinely pasture-raised, not a statutory exterior door on a confinement barn. Actual outdoor ground, soil, insects, grass, alongside their feed that shows up measurably in the nutritional profile. Higher omega-3 fatty acids, higher vitamin K2. Those are the shifts that appear in research on animals that ate a varied diet and actually moved during their lives. Roast a Mary's drumstick at high heat and the color is a deep reddish brown, the kind of result that used to be considered normal on a roasted chicken, and that now genuinely surprises people who've only bought industrial birds for years. The flavor has density and specificity that's hard to describe until you've tasted it. Industrial chicken has become so normalized as the baseline that the actual flavor of properly grown chicken reads as unfamiliar to a lot of people. Mary's is operated by the Pittman family. 4 generations of continuous family ownership. Global animal partnership certified with third-party auditing at the farm level, not just at the processing plant. The difference in this product is operational, not cosmetic. The model uses mobile coos that are physically moved to fresh ground every single day. Every day, the flock gets new grass, new soil, new insects. That's not label language. It's a daily operational requirement you can verify through the company's own publicly available farm footage. The transparency is part of how the model works. The physical difference in the meat is real. Industrial breast from a fast-grow confinement bird often has a soft, slightly pastel-like quality because the muscle never had the time or conditions to develop properly. Pasture bird breast has actual density. It resists the knife the way developed muscle tissue should. The fat renders golden rather than the white or gray tone typical of birds that spent their lives in confinement. The color of rendered chicken fat is a reliable indicator of whether the animal foraged and developed over a realistic timeline or was pushed to maximum weight in a controlled environment. The grow-out runs 10 weeks on rotating fresh pasture, shipped frozen and direct to your door. Full traceability to the specific farm of origin, not just the processing facility. There's an answer to where this bird came from. Most brands in the industrial system aren't structured to answer that question. Best option number 1, Bell & Evans. If one brand on this list represents what American poultry is capable of and what it looked like before industrial scale redefined the baseline, it's this one. Bell & Evans didn't add air chilling to their marketing because the term became commercially useful recently. They built their entire processing infrastructure around individual air chilling long before the rest of the industry had any incentive to discuss it. No communal chlorinated tank, no absorbed water weight, no saline injection, no sodium phosphate. The ingredient list on a Bell & Evans whole chicken is one word: chicken. That's it. It's short because there's almost nothing else to disclose. They use controlled atmosphere stunning prior to slaughter, a more humane method than the electric water bath that's standard across most of the industrial sector. They operate their own dedicated organic feed mill in Pennsylvania, controlling that input directly, rather than accepting whatever in external supplier ships. The company has been owned by the secular family since 1894, over 130 continuous years of family ownership. No private equity acquisition, no conglomerate merger, no quarterly earnings pressure. Quietly shifting priorities away from the product. Roast one, and the results are specific and consistent. The skin shatters when you press it. The pan holds real golden rendered fat, not gray liquid from a chiller tank. The smell while it cooks is the smell of an actual roasted chicken, not the faint industrial steam that rises off a water-chilled bird in a hot oven. That's not nostalgia. It's the direct measurable result of not cutting the specific corners that every brand above this one cut to reach their price point. Check your refrigerator. If you have Tyson, Purdue, Foster Farms, Pilgrim's Pride, Wayne Sanderson Great Value, or any store brand in there right now, run the 2 tests. Ingredient list on the side panel. Next time you're in the poultry aisle, find 2 words on the front of the package before you look at anything else. Air chilled. Those 2 words confirm the bird was never in a communal tank. You're not paying for absorbed water weight. The skin has a real chance of crisping the way you expect it to. Flip the package. If the ingredient list on a whole chicken includes anything beyond the word chicken, a needle entered that bird before the package closed. You're paying for whatever was in it by the pound at chicken prices. Pasture-raised, backed by third-party certification is a different claim than free-range. Under current USDA rules, those are not equivalent definitions. And if the brand can show you actual verifiable footage of the farm where the bird was raised, not an illustration, a real farm, that's the clearest signal the transparency is genuine. You now know what air-chilled means and why it changes what ends up in your pan. You know water-chilled birds absorb communal tank water you pay for by the pound. You know white striping is a documented muscle condition in fast-grow industrial breeds, not a natural quality variation. You know saline injection is why a rotisserie bird stays moist under a lamp for 6 hours when a home-roasted bird wouldn't. You know no antibiotics ever is a farm-level claim that says nothing about processing. You know free-range and pasture-raised are not the same USDA definition. You know which companies pleaded guilty to federal price fixing. You know which brands are still family-owned and which are now managed for private equity returns. And you know which processing method Europe prohibited in 1997 that is still standard practice in American poultry today. The industry built its model on one assumption, that you wouldn't put these pieces together. That assumption no longer applies to you. If this changed how you'll shop next time, share it with someone who's still grabbing the default bag without a second